Well, you are listening to Dr. Margaret and Dr. Katie Speaks on Soma Fusion Media, and tonight we are talking all about psychic development. And tonight we'll also be throwing in the fact that we were doing mini readings just to show you what tools that we have available to you to maybe connect with people from the other side, or give you mini readings of what or how psychic development really is. Now, for those who are new to psychic development, or even had maybe a conversation about planetary placements, or overheard conversations about planetary placements in birth charts, card spreads, maybe in tarot, or even casual conversations about manifestation, can actually reveal an individual's existential perceptions. Although I'm always thrilled to meet other super feelers, I'm eager to share my observations, and along with Margaret, of course, and I always proceed with caution. And being psychic or having psychic abilities isn't easy, and many people have misperceptions about what this gift actually is. Working with psychic skills requires patience, practice, and lots of self-love. And when I've come to realize that many of us hear the word psychic, we imagine a neon lit storefront decorated with crystal balls, fog machines, animatronic contraptions that manipulate supernatural occurrences. The true essence of smoke and mirrors. From an early age, we're warned by our parents that these services are scams, and begin associating psychic gifts at large as dubious and fraudulent. The otherworldly events we experience in childhood are often discredited, and even we explore divination practices in childhood, we are still quick to raise an eyebrow at the word psychic. And for many of us, the first step into tapping into our extrasensory abilities is divorcing this concept from deception, where while there are definitely many Chatelains who either exaggerate their skills or make them up entirely. These individuals are not psychic. They are con artists who use fear tactics to prey on gullible or vulnerable individuals. And in most cases, pretending to be psychic is just one of the many exploitive schemes for these imposters. But psychics, on the other hand, are simply individuals who are able to see, hear, feel, sense, taste, or have intuition beyond boundaries of physical world. And it is difficult, perhaps even impossible, to firmly define what society deems normal perception. After all, we are conditioned to believe that our perception of reality is fairly concrete. We assume that everyone knows that the sky is blue, or can detect when someone is in a cranky mood. But as we continue to expand the sensory spectrum, we quickly realize that certain senses become increasingly less common among our peers. And it is through this awareness that many of us become aware of our unique inherent psychic gifts. And fundamentally, psychic skills are defined by innate ability to process sensory data, both tangible and intangible stimuli, on an extremely deep emotional, physical, or spiritual level. And of course, this is a rather broad definition that I wanted to get into, because obviously there are a lot of people out there that are either for psychics or very, very skeptical. And I wanted to break down the walls here, because this is a no judgment zone. And of course, we do want to teach you that having a psychic ability or a psychic gift is actually a good thing, rather than something that we would commonly associate it with the words or the terms witch. And so with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Margaret, and she's going to talk a little bit more about it.
Well, first of all, I want to say very clearly that our consciousness about the word psychic was something that I really went through in England, 19, 18, somewhere around that age. It was a negative word, and like you said, witches and warlocks and all these things are thrown around. But because of World War II and because of all the trauma that Europe went through, and because so many thousands and thousands of people died, including the Jews, of course. When I say thousands, I mean, you know, in one war and one battle, and people. So, you know, I was been watching War at Worlds, World at War, whatever it is, get it the right way around. It was, they've really done a good job, by the way. If anyone really wants to know what it was like back there, I would be an advocate to say, go listen and learn and realize just what everyone went through. And you can then understand that when you've lost your loved one and, you know, they're missing in action or something like that, the family that's left behind are like, well, are they dead? Or are they in encampment? Or, you know, are they ever going to come home? I hope and pray they are. And of course, in those days, it was pray, pray, pray. And there's nothing wrong with the power of prayer. Prayer is wonderful. But being born at the moment of my birth with a bomb explosion, you know, I was turned on apparently as soon as I popped out of the womb because, you know, as we've talked about it before, nurses held me and got better. So by the time I was 5, I was listening to voices and running up to strangers and saying, you know, George is fine, he's in the oneness and he loves cucumbers. Now, that might sound really funny coming from a child, but the key was the name and loves cucumbers, because they would know that. And they would know that a child this young didn't know anything about George or what he liked. So it was proof that they were getting a message from their loved one on the other side. And so that was a big emphasis on spiritualism, which came through the church consciousness, because in England back in the late 1800s, there still are the witch laws on the books, even here in the States, unfortunately. But originally in those days, if you were doing something in quotes psychic, you could be arrested and shoved into jail. Well, of course, there was no one going to shove me into jail as a kid. And so it was a popular thing for relatives, members of the church, which I was C of E, Church of England, to come up to my mom and say, does she get messages? And I'm standing there going, yes, you know, Mary says she's fine and don't worry about Auntie Jane, she'll be fine. And they, and my mum was like, huh, what? And to me, it was so natural because I could hear all the voices of people talking to me in as clearly as I can hear you. And people couldn't understand that someone could do that. Now, that is called, in the psychic education courses I teach, clairaudience, which means clear hearing. So yes, I can clearly hear voices speaking to me, okay? Now, if I'm going to do a channeling, like writing a book, and you know I've written 18 books and they're all channeled, I'm like a woman possessed, because we together think together so that I can really write without having to wait to be dictated to, because that would take forever. So clairaudience can move into the knowing space and the acceptance of, it's like, okay, let me go this way. If I say to you, count to 100, you don't have to think about it, you just count it. In the same way, when I'm working with my spirit guides who are ascended masters, I just know it. I'm so knowledgeable, I'm typing away. And I was just saying to one of my students, I need to go back and read all these 17 books because I can't remember what's in them. However, there's another way I've used it is over the years in teaching people, when I'm doing a full class with theory and practice, you see me talking, I'm in my character and personality, but I'm actually them speaking and teaching. So that's a conscious channeling that you learn to be able to do, where you have total unity with your spirit guides, and you know that what's coming out of your mouth is real. There's no doubts, there's no insecurity, there's no like you see people with tarot cards and they go, oh, I know, I'm using this example because I've used it so many times in my classes. I was having a reflexology treatment and I was in a crammed psychic fair, and there was a guy sitting next to his little table nearby. And I've got my eyes shut enjoying the reflexology, and I hear, oh, you're very strong. And she, no, I'm not very strong. And the voice is like that. And then I said, well, you've got the strength. This person said, you've got the strength card. And she went, oh, I don't know. What, maybe it's your daughter. You have a daughter. Yeah, but she's not well. She's not well. This is going on. This is a short version of the whole thing. I listened to it for about 8 minutes until finally I thought, I have to open my eyes and have a look. The guy did not know the meaning of the strength card, which is a sun card. He did not know how to relate it to a woman who was obviously very insecure and very old. She looked like 80. And her daughter came up after the reading was done, and she was at least 50 or 60, which was my age at the time. And she said, oh, Mom, my back's hurting me. I have to go home. And I looked at this young guy, and he looked up at them and he just said, well, I hope you enjoyed the reading, and took the $20. If that'd been me, I'd have been giving it that money back. I mean, this is so bad. Then we had cross your palm, gypsy wise in England for a while. Gypsies were literally banging on the door with lavender bunches and give you a psychic message, and you're supposed to cross their palm with silver in return and give them the money for the lavender. And of course, my mum always said no when they came to the door. And I remember there was one time when this gypsy woman came and she started giving Mum a message. And I interrupted and I said, you're not giving a true reading because you don't know how to I was that direct at that age because I got this spirit guide telling me, this person is a fraud. Now, most of us, when we're meeting someone who's psychic, hope and pray they get all the answers and they're in fear, pain, anger, guilt, or whatever. And so one of the first things I would always advise people to do is to listen to your gut, because your gut tells you this doesn't feel right. And that takes us into psychometry. And psychometry is the sense of feeling energy from another person's aura, or from a spirit guide or God, or any level of even an entity like, from another planet. You can feel with your energy as you stand next to someone or something, even an animal, and know whether they're friendly or dangerous. And you can instinctively know whether they are positive or negative. Because not everybody who's you might feel dangerous is really dangerous. It might be that they're just full of worries and anxiety and fear and hoping and praying themselves. And there are many, many readers who are in that state. And I have to admit, I was in that state when I was young because I had a breakdown. Living the life of recovery of World War II wasn't easy in Europe. And so everyone's praying and negative and anxious and worried and hoping and praying you're going to save the day for them. And I can tell you that by the time I was breaking down with my life, because I had two bad marriages, lots of raucous kids and all this and that, and patients galore and ministry going with people coming and going and doing all the spiritual churches, you can imagine what I was going through. And being there for everyone else and not for me. And so I learned the hard way, which I now teach all my students, that you have to be there for you first, and you have to know you, and you have to understand you, because your spirit guides are using your life, and they bring to you people who are similar to your life in the mirror image. So if you haven't mastered yourself, how can you advise someone who's in the same scenario you were 10, 20, 40 years ago, whatever it was? How can, if you're still in the same state, you can sit and say, I know how you feel, and this is what I'm getting. But guess what? We're going to get more negativity about what not to do, or, you know, what you should do, but no guidance because that person hasn't had walked the steps themselves. So it's very important when you're choosing someone to give you a reading, you ask them, if you're not happy for the reading, I won't pay you. Is that okay? And you'll be amazed how many people on the lower scale of development will say yes now. But back in the days when I was young, 18, 19, it was like you pay up in front and you expect what you get. And I have to admit, my mother was always running off to psychics. And, you know, because my father and she were both post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, I was too, but I didn't know it because I was an infant with all those bombs going off. But right across the road from my apartment was the bombed out building where Archangel guided that rocket across to hit there and wipe them out so that I could live and do what I'm doing. Now, I don't mean that egotistical. I don't mean that to influence anyone to come and have a reading with me just because I said that. I want people to understand we all go through the dark side, and I'm going to use my book. I brought it out, The Dark Side. Remember I wrote that last year and you put that up for me? Well, in that, it explains the dark side of ourself, not only in our everyday conscious, subconscious, deep subconscious, but also in the universe, in the oneness. For example, we look up at the night sky and we see all these stars, but what we don't see, because we can't project our thoughts that far, and scientists are checking it, is a miasma of gases and explosions and bursts of suns and stars. And now we know about black holes. Well, then nobody knew that when there's a World War II going on, right? So anyone listening, I want you to understand the metaphysical world has evolved. And when I train psychics, I don't call them psychics anymore. I train them to become metaphysicians. They have metaphysical studies. I use psychology, psychiatry. I have just walked a pathway of everything in order to be able to do what I do today. So coming back to clairvoyance, images, you see a lot of psychics going like this and looking up in their head and their eyeballs going up, you know. I'm not putting that down. That's the way they begin to try and see images. And that, yeah, that's the Omni card I drew, which led to Expanding Images book, which I now teach people from. It's basics in the beginning. Thank you. So here that Expanding Images. Why is that the title? Because if you all do this, if you're watching now, I want you to think of a cat. And as you think of the cat, I want you to allow yourself to visualize that cat and see if you make an association image. Like I'm sitting here and I'm seeing the collar of my cat that passed over, Chico, okay? And from that image of that collar, I can now recall that I found that in the drawer in my kitchen last year. Now, I wouldn't have brought that forward if I hadn't have thought of visualizing my cat. So in the same way, when people do tarot readings, you're seeing images on those cards. And when the first tarot cards came into my hand, they were the Marseille pack. And all you had was King, Queen, Jack, and Ace. The rest were just rods, hearts. They're just like playing cards, you know. And, you know, I had a book and you had to read the meanings of each of these cards. And I was studying that. I was about 24 at the time, I think, when I was given it as a birthday present. And I was really trying to relate to these. And all of a sudden, my guide said to me, why are you relating to this? Is someone's work? Why aren't you listening to us? And so up until that point, I'd been appearing as a minister and spiritualist minister and traveling all over lower part of England, doing services and all that kind of thing. And into my hands came the Thoth pack after that. And they're full of images. They were the first pack that I ever discovered that were just loads and loads of images stuck on top of one another. with astrology symbols, and they were put out by what's his name? Can you? I've gone blank again. It'll come to me, and I'm trying not to think of it, because that's another thing that happens when you've got spirit talking in your ear all the time. It's like you're trying to think what you want to say, but they're saying something else. And then you wait. Okay, so now they gave it to me, the Toth Pack. All right, now the Toth Pack was Aleister Crowley. Now, if you know anything about Aleister Crowley, he was a psychic person beginning in England. And what happened was he got into investigating the dark side, hence this book, The Dark Side, okay? And of course, in those days, dark side had to be witches and warlocks and evil devils and monsters coming out of the closet or whatever you wanted to think of. But what he was actually researching was the evolution of the dark into the light. And during that time, he was ranting and raving a lot too, because he was at the palace and places like that. And so they thought he'd become possessed by an earthbound. But when I was able to get that card pack and channel him and explain to me every single card, every detail on every card, and finally tell me he had a brain tumor that was giving him these massive headaches, which actually killed him. Well, they didn't know about brain tumors in those days. So you see, here's an example of what you were saying right in the beginning, where people make up their ideas, their point of view from religion or somebody else's words, word of mouth, and it's wrong. And I'm going to come right forward into now and say, as with my book, the COVID book that I was going to ask you to let me talk about, and you're going to show it. I was able to channel, and I'm going to do that right now. I was able to channel all about the COVID-19 and more importantly, the coronaviruses, proper name. And we made a book and Katie put it up. It's 80 pages of channeling. And I've got Jesus, Siddhartha Buddha, Cornelius, Tacitus, Master Chang, archangels. There's just so many people channeling through me, and there's 80 pages of that channeling all about COVID. And Katie, you put it up, and what happened? It got blocked. You want to say why?
I am because simply because of the web crawl of the word COVID itself. I will say that I have put up the YouTube video that you sent me this evening. I blasted that out real quickly. I am sitting here waiting for a channel strike right now because obviously it's it is a video, so I'm 50-50 right now. I'm just hanging on to the seat of my pants, but they've already put up the guidelines, or whatever you want to call it, on the bottom of the video saying, if you want more information on COVID, go here. And it's sitting right underneath the video. And so I do, I'm going to wait another 24 hours, see if it gets taken down or see if we get a channel strike or whatnot, just because simply talking about it, because a lot of people are trying to have an opinion or trying to, talk about the whole subject of the coronavirus or COVID in particular. And they're not really giving out medical information, but they're deeming it as medical misinformation. So, So partially the reason I've tried about 3 times now, it's taken me probably about a couple of months now trying to get your book up, and nope, nobody can seem to give me a flat out answer as to why the book has been blocked. And that's coming from Amazon too.
So now you're going to put it up on Sumari's Education Center for people to go there and download it. And it was always for free. And we also said in the book that if you're in a different country, i.e. Spanish, French, Italian, German, whatever, you are free to translate it into your language and share it wherever you want to across the world. We only ask that you send us a copy of what you've translated. We're not going to print it. We're not going to make any money out of it. We just want to know who's translating it. And then we can put it up on Somari. So if someone says Chinese wants to read it, they can get it from there, that kind of thing. Now, this was a channeled 80 pages from these great beings of oneness. And the information is very insightful, it's very educational, it goes into the future, even into the next age of sound, where we are going to fly planes with sound, and we're going to run our cars with sound, and we're going to heat our houses with sound, and so it's so much more going to come. It's a new period. So I wanted to get that right in up front, that these kinds of books, people who are in so-called know, think they know, hear the word psychic, don't understand what is psychic, don't understand what's channeling, immediately say it's someone's imagination, it's false news, and they're taking our stuff down. But what about all their false news? We're hearing, chaos is in the world, and they're doing this, and they're fixing this, and they're fixing that, and they're making it worse. It's time that we listen to the oneness, right? And so coming back to you as an individual, I'm going to go through the psychic senses. And so we've done psychometry, we've done clairaudience, we've done clairvoyance. Then we have clairsentience, which combines smell and taste. So like you could be sitting in your room and you suddenly smell like sulfur, and you think, God, my toilet is leaking. You go all over the house looking, you can't find anything. I had the example of fire, and I'm looking for something on fire. Well, it took me a while. I was very young. I was only about 26. I had a couple of kids, 12 kids or something by then. And basically, I was saying to the kids, have you been striking matches, and trying to rationalize it all? But it wasn't till I had some peace and quiet, and I sat down and I thought, what is this burning I keep hearing on and off every night? I mean, smelling. And finally, at that point, then my spirit guide, Red Cloud, came to me and said, you've been smelling my bonfire. I've been cleansing your house. Okay. Well, I thought, how can smoke cleanse the house? He said, no, we're not smoking the house, because in those days there was saging and all that stuff coming about so long ago, and I didn't have any anyway, and I knew my house was negative because all my marriage was on the rocks, my kids were bad, and loads of negative people would come and dump their issues in my lap, while I helped them and so on, or did the healing. And I was going around with lavender essential oils and doing all my hocus pocus, as they would have called it in those days, to cleanse my house. But, as fast as you cleanse something, somebody comes negative, it gets negative again. And note these family members, you're arguing because you're going out, coming back with negativity, sorting the negative out, you feel better, you go out, you come back with more negativity. So it's a vicious circle, a cycle of perceptions about self. And when you bring a group of negatives together, you can imagine what it's like in that room. Okay, so negative needs to come back to our 5 physical senses. So if you're smelling something in the house, it's a symbol of what's going on in your house. So when Red Cloud started to talk to me, and then I had White Cloud as well, that I used to get a bit confused by both, a white feather and white, there was a whole bunch of tribe of Native Americans, but it was Red Cloud that taught me how to protect myself when I was 7 years old. And I didn't even know he was famous over here. It was just the name he told me, never told me about his life. So coming back to my focus here on the smell, if you smell something, it could be a warning. And I've got an example of a neighbor who kept coming to me, and she had it going on too. So I'm smelling it, she's smelling it. And he's saying he's clearing my house. But when she sat down, he said, beware, be careful, check. So every night she got up, she'd smell it, she'd wander around the house maybe a week. And then one night she got up and she really smelt it. It was real. And there was a wire under her stairs that had fused in the fuse box somehow. And there was some things that were burning. So she was able to get water, whatever she did, and put it out and save that house. So there are times when smelling may be good for you. Another time, for example, taste. I was just about to go into a Japanese late night, mama, papa place with noodles. And as I went in, I felt the energy was negative. I didn't like it, but there was no choice, and we were starving, been teaching all day. So we went in anyway. And I sat down at the table and I said to her, this place is dirty. And as I put the food in my mouth, I felt I shouldn't eat it. But, I overrid that because I needed food. 2 hours later, I'm throwing up in the bathroom. So we have to listen to what we're eating. And those of you who are overweight, or those of you who are so thin, you're not getting enough, ask yourself as you put that food to your mouth, to your lips, do you want it? Now let's go back to an infant. Mum's weaning baby off milk, puts peas in their mouth, turns her face away. They've already smelled it. They know they don't want it. And yet mum keeps putting it, it's good for you, and they dribble it out. And I learned that the hard way bringing up my kids. And one day Spirit said to me, give them what they like. So then I went out and bought all the different pots, and those were new in those days, because earlier, before that, I had my first ones, I had to make their dinners and mash it and squish it and do all sorts of things. So the world has changed, and with it, the psychic ability. And so spiritualist churches existed from the early 1900s in Europe, because that was the only way we could function. And we had proper services. And during the service, we would have a reading and all the things, just like a Church of England. And then we would have a message time. And then we'd have more prayers and hymns. And then we'd have the laying of hands time. And then we'd have more, Well, today, laying of hands is Reiki. And Japanese made a fortune out of something that mankind has been doing since the dawn of time.
Now, I just want to say something really, really quickly. Since we've been going on live, I want to say hello to the people that are actually on our live stream right now. We've got Lucille, who is there up on YouTube. And of course, we have a few other people that are up there as well. Let me go over and find out who they are. I just want to mention something really, really quickly about those this is another part of the whole competition for being a psychic, and for those who are all over, I mean, I understand that social media is crawling with tarot readers and psychics that want to give out readings, and for their you pay $5 for their service, or a donation, or call it what you will, send a cash app, PayPal, whatever. When you get a lot of people, psychics, if you are true to your gift, you really don't charge. But however, there is that other necessity of I have to provide for my family and everything like that too. So that's separate from the actual gift itself. But when I have people come onto my page and actually start saying, message me, and then when I find out what that message is, they're trying to give me a reading during a live show. I'm like, hold up. This is a common practice about a lot of people who are psychics and psychic mediums who do and tarot readers that do come on, and they web crawl other people in order to ride on other people's coattails. So for those people out there, it's a stern warning out there that you are indeed fraudulent. You are doing it for doing readings or being a medium for the wrong reasons. So please don't come onto my show or my page asking me to do that, because it's just wrong. Flat out wrong. And for those people who are doing it, please stop.
Yes, that's another thing. Back in the days when I was a young medium, because obviously I had to grow and evolve, and today I'm a professor, and I had to come through the back doors. I had to be a nurse, I had to learn doctoring, I had to learn psychology, psychiatry, I had to learn was just so much, my resume is 5 pages long. So, to prove to the world that what we can do, and to be recognized and acknowledged for the abilities that we get, you have to study. Now, whether you study, back in my day, I was evolving to be the teacher. And now, I've been recognized all over the world. But there are many people who go and do a mini tarot card class, and then they get a little bit of paper, and then they show that and they say, I'm qualified. I'm sorry, you would never pass my class. We do have up, again, I'm not promoting it, I'm telling because I want you to understand the quality of what we need for the future children's that are going to be born. So if you're working with me, you'll go to talks, you'll go to general workshop days of intro level, you'll go through classes, and you'll go into seminars. All these things will be there. And then your courses. And the courses, I mean, you don't just do level 1 and you're qualified. You've got 5 levels. You have to take exams, you have to do writings, you have to give us some audio things that we check, see the quality of how you present what you're getting. It's all done. Well, right now it's going to be online because we can't all get socialized together. But what I used to do was do physical 6 days solid level 1. And the Japanese could do that because they're highly intelligent. Americans can't. English don't. They pay more attention, but they're not. So we're realizing that. So we're breaking down all these things that we can teach you. And there are going to be many different courses eventually. But we're starting off with psychic ability. We'll mention that later. But we're not doing this reading day to pitch the education right now. We're doing it to show people it's very important that we all listen to our own psyche. You want to add something there?
Yeah, and for the for me though, the essence is, in essence of what you just said, even though you think that we're not pitching about what we do as for classes and psychic development, we really are actually teaching you right now about what psychic development is, so that you're no longer skeptical. It's easy for me to say, hey, I'm gonna shuffle a bunch of cards and I'm gonna give you a mini reading, but I have nothing about it. And I will tell you right now that even though I have tarot, I do tarot reading, I am new to this. I don't know everything. I am Margaret's, call it what you will, her understudy. She is my mentor. She is my teacher. She's teaching me everything that I need to know. Even though I am quite gifted already, I still have a long way to go in terms of where I need to go. The other thing is that I had someone come to me just recently about, I want to get into healing at the hands. I want to get into Reiki. I'm finding I've got blockages. I want to learn more. I want to do this and I want to do this. And when I broached the subject of psychology, and I just broke it to her, this was, again, I think I mentioned a previous show about how there are so many healers out there that, and I'm not calling anyone out in particular, but what I'm saying is that universally, there are so many people that are being drawn now to heal, and they just feel that they need to heal with no prior education or any development of that education or that awareness to actually heal another person. Just like you said, Margaret. It's the same analogy. How do we love another person if we can't love ourselves? How do we teach another person if we never taught ourselves how to do it? And so, like I said, I had someone come to me about, I want to do Reiki. Do you do this? And do you do this? And I said, do you know, I can't remember what I said to them, but I said something along the lines of, it was more psychology based. And they're like, oh, I don't know anything about psychology. And I'm like, how are you calling yourself a healer and you have no knowledge of any psychology whatsoever? You can't even be a therapist, let alone a healer of the hand, healing of the hands, or Reiki practitioner, or energy healer of any type, even a counselor. You can't even be a psychologist. It's like calling me a psychologist with no psychology background whatsoever.
And you just picked a good point, and I'm going to go back into the physicality. Reiki if you don't know what's going on inside your body, if you don't know anatomy, physiology, if you don't know your nervous system, the 5 aspects, you've got your muscle system, your bone system, your adrenal system is off whack, and you're going, oh, go and get medicine. But you need to know that each of these systems in your body have to be healed. And when you go through an emotional trauma, like losing a loved one, which so many have gone through right now, or you're starving because your land's been flooded, or, volcano eruption. I mean, there could be 1,001 things happening now. And I did want to talk about the future eventually somewhere. But the bottom line is, as you say, you've got to have basics. It's like you went to school and you studied ABC and 1, 2, 3, so you could read and write that and add up. But that doesn't make you a qualified professor.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm not actually saying this, and it's kind of triggering in a way, because that person who kind of messaged over there are people that are listening to the show right now and they are commenting, but just that one person kind of triggered me off, and I'm like, you know what? There are so many people out there that want to be that want to be the wannabes. They want to be the wannabe healer. They're drawn. They want to do that, but they've got nothing. They've never done any trauma healing. It's like all those people out there. I'm not saying that it's not real, but one needs to learn how to discern for themselves what is real and what is an illusion. And the other thing is too, is that what is a real awakening as opposed to something that you're going through traumatic and you need to work through that. Like I said, I don't mean to call people out, but triggering in itself, there are so many people that are completely uninformed or misinformed about what these modalities really are. And I just want to make light of that, because there are so many people that are fraudulently conned into thinking what they think is real, and it's really not. It's just an illusion.
Well, the paranormal, let's call it what it is the strange and the unusual. That's all paranormal means, the strange and the unusual. And if you've been brought up, say, a born-again Christian, and your vision has been like this, and then someone comes into your life and says, do you know there are angels standing behind you? It's like, what? Where? How? And then they take that and believe that and go off and tell everyone I've got angels so I can heal, when I might be in the room, just an example, and it's not an angel, it's an earthbound spirit. So what is an earthbound spirit? Earthbound spirits are people who've died, but they've left something unfinished, or they've had a sudden accident, like being hit by a car, or like terrible flood, something they just didn't know what was going to happen. And so what happens when we die, we come out of body. Now, it's not unusual. We do that every night when we sleep. We lay above ourselves. It's like coming out of a smoky room. If we're advanced, we might leave and go somewhere else, and we might remember something in a dream. But you'd be amazed just how many people are coming to me and telling me that they've got spirit guides. And when I look there and listen and work, I see that they're not. They've picked up, maybe they're drinkers and they've been in the bar, like my ex-husband. And I'd open the front door and say, come in, all of you. And then I'd end up uplifting them all, that night, not getting much sleep, by the way, because they do talk a lot. Then I'll give you another example. We used to have a lot of seance circles, because that was the way it was done early in those days. We don't need that now. We have meetings and unifications and circles for ascension and things like that. But in those days, it was for trance practice channeling. And I used to see a lot of people who were negative come, to do the circles. And this one guy kept insisting this spirit guide was an ascended master, and I kept explaining. He just needed to hook into something because he was manic depressive. And unfortunately, ultimately, he did, because of the negativity and this spirit talking to him about he's not going to live long and he needs to die and all that. And he went actually killed himself. I couldn't save him. And that earthbound put that thought in his mind that he had to kill himself. And I spent weeks. And by the way, I never charged a dime until, for all my work, traveling all around Europe and England and wherever I went, till I came to this country. Never charged a dime. So I was 40 when I came here. So I'm saying that apart from my childhood, where my spirit guides and my teachers, when I went into the Spiritualist Movement Association and my nursing and the psychology and the psychiatry, I was learning. And if anyone wanted to give me money, I would, no, I don't need it. And they were insisting, and I'd say, put it on the table. And I wouldn't touch it because I felt it was going to be dirty. That's how I was so afraid, you know, of not being the purest being I could be.
And I do the same thing as well. Even to this very day. I mean, I know that I have to live and I have to do what I need to do, but at the end of the day, people are like, why did you charge for that? I don't even know how to ask for charging.
Well, it's the same with our classes that we're going to teach. We are not, you know, we've been through this whole thing over the last 10 years with the computers growing, of people sending, you can get this for $39, you come on, you listen to their pitch. Oh, and now buy my course, it's $2,000. And I'm telling you, my husband bought into one of those with some people who were supposed to be able to read you through the computer, which you can read someone through the computer. But I can tell you, I did it because my husband needed something and I wanted to see what he was doing. And I may as well put that money down the drain because it did nothing for my husband, but it taught me, it showed me what never to do. And so I was great. It was a good loss of money for me to learn that. Do you understand what I mean? And so we've made a point of keeping whatever we're going to teach online. And I've just put up the psychic development one with you, which you've done. Thank you. And we're going to do that. And it's the first talk is free. And then when we do something, it's a very nominal amount. We are never going to be charging 2 or 20 or 10,000. I remember there's one person who actually was pitching me a whole course on something to do with magnets and the power of healing and buy this equipment. You wanted $10,000. It's like, politely stick it up your jumper, Mr. Saying. Yeah.
Sure. But no, for those people, that goes back to what I originally said. There are a lot of people out there that are just wanting to do it for their own self, whatever,
yeah, but on the other side of the fence, I want to say the dark side, remember I have the book up, versus the light side. We have to go through the dark in order to find the light. So these people may be putting out the dark in the form of, I want money, I'm greedy, I need this, I have to buy a boat or something, you know. But in the collapse of that attainment comes poverty, and out of poverty comes, well, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that a rich, wealthy man, a billionaire or someone, hasn't learned the lesson that money doesn't bring happiness. It just means that they've come through crisis somewhere, and now they're coming back and they're saying, I really want to learn, I want to understand. You know, when I was healing the Shah of Iran, very nice man, very so upper class, you know, pure English connection, because they all had connections to all family and everything. But I couldn't save him because he knew it was his time. So what I could do is make his heart stronger so he could fly over to France, where he could supposedly do something to save him. But he knew, he said to me, you know, Dr. Margaret, I know it's my time, but I wanted to meet you because my massage therapist told me that you are an incredible woman. And I was like feeling so humble because I was only 34 or 5 then, you know, whenever it was. Yeah.
I get those comments all the time, and for people who do actually legitimately reach out with me, I think some people have a 10-minute conversation with me, and they're like, oh crap, now I need to go back to the drawing board, because I realized that that's not the path that I should be going on. The path that I should be going on is actually seeking the therapy services from you so that I can heal. And so it literally takes 10 minutes for doing that. But I have never ever rejected anybody. And this is what we want to also tell people too, is that just because we do ask for donations, gifts, and or charge for the services that we charge to teach, we will never turn anybody away just because you don't have any money. We do give the ability to, and we do believe in each and everyone's right to an education. So it really, even if you paid $1, we don't suggest for everybody to pay.
Well, universalchristchurch.com is the head under which Simari's Education Center and Soma Fusion and all these other things that we have. So we are a church, and church as ministers always see people and counsel people like we'll do today for free. And any donations that we charge, for a 1 hour session or anything that goes into the kitty, we're not lining our pockets. We, like everyone else out there, are floundering around financially. But every so often, like here, I had a patient a couple of times, so I was able to make some money. So yes, people will ask me, what do I charge? Right now, I'm charging for physical hands-on or reading only $125. You'll see other people out there are charging $200 and $300, even $500 or $600. And I go as long as you need. Yeah. So it's no time span. It's not like pay me $125 for, half an hour. My patient that was here recently came for a 4-hour session for the counseling side, and then back for a 4-hour session with the intake of her history of medical history. See, that's another thing. A healer tends to do Reiki, and I mentioned earlier, the anatomy and physiology. When you are really a healer, you have psychodermotherapy where you can see energy coming from the body, through your body, up to your brain. And because you have all the images of what the anatomy and physiology is going on inside a body, you can interpret that energy back into, oh, this person has something wrong. I'll give an example. I had someone on the table and I got to the liver and I said, do you have a tumor in there? And she went, how do you know? I've had it for years. It's benign. I said, I know, but it's there. I'm going to shrink it. And she came back and she said, I felt so different afterwards. So there's a lot of things that the oneness tells me, and other people like me, I'm not the only healer and teacher in the world, but we have to realize that if the student isn't there, the teacher can't teach. And in the same way, put it down the other way, if the student's looking for a teacher, they say you can't find one, but the bottom line is the oneness provides it. So whether it's yourself and meditation and talking to spirit guides like I did for the first 18 years of my life, and still do today, but without them, I had no one to go to.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that there are a lot of people out there too, and going back to what I was originally saying before, is that for those who are actually interested in an education regarding psychic development, there are many modalities under psychic development and psychic and energy healing and just psychic mediumship in its entirety. But the one thing I just want to say is that for those who are going through an awakening process right now, please don't latch on to the first thing that you see. Like, you can latch up, there are so many people out there right now that are latching on to astrology, then they're mixing it up with alien otherworldly readings and numerology. It's okay to do all of that and combine it, research and discern for yourself, but please don't mix it up. They're completely different modalities.
They are, but then they integrate. For example, the top pack I was talking about earlier on, Aleister Crowley put astrology in there, he put numerology in there, he put ascended higher self, you've got goblins and ghoulies, they're very good to look at, to see, and he was ahead of his time. And in a way, I was ahead of my time. I mean, a baby being born in 1942 in the middle of a bomb blitz, I guess I chose it. But the other thing is to know that, we have the light side. Now I'm just going to hold my light side book up. They're a twin, these two, really. Katie put that up for me as well. Okay. Thank you, Katie. We've both got them. See, she does it all for me. I'm very grateful. But this is about the ascension. This is about the ascension and the light side and channeling and divine healing and all those kinds of things. So what my spirit guides always want to do is give the information, not through my mouth necessarily, though of course I'm teaching all the time, that's pouring out all their information, but because one day I'll be dead and they want this news in the hands of the future generations to come. Now, if you stop and think about babies being born today, they're like I was, they're psychic. I would come toddling out to my mom at 2, I could talk apparently pretty well by 2, enough to get across what I wanted to say anyway. And these kids are the same today. They're born with insights and inspirations, and they'll come up to mommy or daddy and someone and tell them, don't worry, it's fine. I mean, my Warren, my third son, came up to me when he was 2. I had nothing out, nothing showing signs of, no 2 and 2 makes 4. He just came up to me and he said, Mommy, when we go to the laundromat in a minute, is the way he put it, because you don't know time, would you buy me a lollipop or something? I can't remember, but I was like, I just had the thought that I think I need to go to the laundromat. Seconds before he came to me and said that. He was reading my thoughts. And I took him to a class, he was about 9, and I had adults who were all doing psychometry. They brought things belonging to someone else so they could feel what this item was and give feedback on what they were picking up about who owned the item. And these adults are like, well, I think it, looking around, I think it probably belongs to a woman, maybe 50 years old. I told him, be quiet, don't say anything, because I didn't want him disrupting the class. But of course, he's sitting in the circle around, we're all sitting on the floor. And there's about 10 people. And they've all read like this, and they're all beginners. And it comes into Warren's hand. He says, this belongs to a woman. Her name is Mary. She has a bad foot, and she's crying a lot. And the person who brought it went, oh, my God. That's 100% accurate. Well, he did that with everything that came round. And I went home and I thought, I can't have him being that psychic. He's so vulnerable. I was that psychic and I know what hell I went through. So I closed him down. Fast forward years later, he was beaten up by a convict who'd just got out of prison. And short version is he nearly lost his life. I had to work on his spiritual cord and tie that to his unborn baby at the time and me, and we did remote healing. Yeah, we can do miracles that way as well. So we kept him alive. Well, after he came back, he was like a teenager. He was drinking and doing all the wrong things. So put him through psychology, hypnosis, healing, and this and that, and finally opened up his psychic ability. He said, why the hell didn't you let me open up before now? I would have known that guy was waiting out there to beat me up. I said, I forgot. I'm sorry. Well, he can read anyone today. He doesn't read. He doesn't do anything. My second son does, and my fourth son, he knows. He's a Scorpio. He'll look at you. I know what you're doing. He's more aggressive, but he would never put himself up as a psychic. So you see, DNA, they got it from me. It's in their blood. Your baby's got it. So any questions on that? We're open to anyone who wants to ask questions about the future. We told about the book in the beginning that I channeled about the COVID. There's a lot about the future in there. You've got the light and dark side that will educate you as to what the oneness is all about. So right now I need, I'm sorry, but I need to let these dogs out. Can we do a little commercial, or leave you just seeing who wants to come on with a reading while I let them out? Because then they're not my dogs. I'm taking care of them.
You go do that. The calling number, if you do want to.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be as quick as I can to let them out. Okay. Go.
The show is complete.
Dogs.
What I was going to say there, the calling number is 929-436-2866. The meeting ID number 522-657-2748. Now, I will mention too that, we've been talking about psychic development, and of course, we're not focusing on readings. We are more about teaching, and we've always been about teaching, especially on this show. If you are, and just real quickly too, if you are listening up on YouTube, hello over there to my YouTube listeners. I will say that the meeting ID number and the phone number to call in for readings is listed in the description, so I don't have to repeat myself again. And same goes with the Facebook listeners who are listening over there. Hello to you guys. There are plenty over there that have been commenting, and yeah. But what I want to say is that we really got to look into our abilities, and when we tap into them, we develop those psychic abilities, as Margaret said, during childhood, and these gifts are usually passed down through close individuals who directly or indirectly teach us this language. And I mean language because it is a language. It's an unknown language to a lot of people, because there are a lot of people that just will not admit that each and every single one of us has a gift. It doesn't matter what kind of gift it is, but it's just unrecognized, especially as we get older and we have a lot more knowledge about things in the world, whether it be paranormal or otherworldly or just things in general. But as children though, we do notice more, and we see more, we hear more, and we feel more. And these are basic survival instincts that enable us to safely move through the world. But as I said, we mature, and so we stop being so sensitive. We believe that ghosts aren't real, and that pain is always physical, and that through this conditioning, especially me as a psychologist, through this conditioning, when I teach this kind of stuff, we start to believe that emotions and intuition are anti-ethical to.
Okay, that's done. Now they're looking for food, but they'll have to wait.
I was talking.
Sorry.
Oh my God, I told you we were human. But basically, through this conditioning, we start to believe that emotions and intuition are anti-ethical to science and reason, and we therefore suppress our gifts, and we turn our nose up at people who do have gifts, and then we, of course, we have to accept the physical realm as the full extent of reality. But like I said, there are plenty of cosmic warriors out there that have their psychic gifts, and believe it or not, just like Margaret was saying about, shutting down psychic gifts, your gifts are never lost. They stay with you. But I mean, they do require a little bit of work to reignite the dormant skills that lie within yourself. But there are easy ways to tap into those extrasensory abilities to reawaken that. So there you go. Margaret is back. Continue on with what you were.
Okay, well, being that the dogs interrupt me, I want to make sure everybody understands that there isn't any creature or any plant or tree or whatever that isn't embedded and encoded with the soul structure. So, for example, a tree can't drop, let's take an oak, it can't drop its acorns unless it has the DNA within its programming to grow and to drop them, you know. So everything dies and is birthing, everything is evolving. And so anything that anybody is going through is their issues or whatever is all about perceptions on how we see things in this world. And right now I'm very concerned because these youngsters are being born with all this psychic ability. Half those mums don't have a clue about it, so they think they just got a vivid imagination, which is what my mother said day in, day out most of my life. The trouble there is these kids, they go to bed and they feel something's in the room. It could be the spirit of a relative and they know, or it could be an earthbound and they're afraid. I know I had a lot of that because of war and so many people dying. And I tell my mum, there's all these people in my room and they've all got bandages on. They look like monsters. And of course, I was uplifting and read about that in the book, but my life story. But, you know, everybody needs to understand that the Aquarian age is bringing enlightenment, but it's not coming in for 150 years or so, because we've got to get out of the Piscean age, the great Piscean age. And right now I've been watching news, is little, I don't watch too much, but there's just so much controversy about what is and isn't true. And, you know, there's people who are on the QT, they're on radios pointing out what they found out, hearsay, especially about aliens and all that. And I do acknowledge aliens because, yes, I've been on the ships and I remember, unlike most people who are in imagination, I remember because they were looking for us, but that's another story. So I'm thinking that whatever we talk about, if people call in, we take the questions, we do a mini reading, and I'm sure as we answer them, people who are listening will learn something just by that one person calling in, because we're all messengers to one another.
Yeah, and we're all connected by soul in essence of the ethereal, at an ethereal level anyway. So even at the base physiology of the soul connection, we don't recognize it, but it is there. For those who are in the twin flame community also too, it is nothing but a soul connection that we do have, and we can have many soul connections throughout an entire life as well.
Oh yeah, well, it's a big topic, and you know, to really tell all now would we couldn't possibly do. We're like taking your nail and just scraping the top tiny tad bit that you get under your nail from a cake. That's, you know, how much your people generally get into. To embrace the oneness takes a lifetime. And I'm happy to say that most of my best students were Japanese. I went there for 26 years. They did nearly every course I ever had, and they were studying with me for 10 years. And they're fully trained metaphysicians. So,
which is exactly what Margaret is training me up to become as well. So yeah, I'm gonna have, for me though, I've got so many modalities that I don't really, it doesn't really bother me whether I'm called a metaphysician in training or not, because I'm gonna always practice. And here's the thing, is that a lot of the modern psychologists out there, I just wanted to make a point of this really quickly, is that a lot of the modern psychologists out there actually do have multiple modalities, and the ones that don't call themselves so much clinical, they are actually, majority of them, and I don't speak for everybody, but I'm finding that a majority of them are going into holistic medicine. And so they are going to have, there are a lot of psychologists out there, not clinical, but just psychologists that are teaching bound, that do offer therapy and counseling services and holistic services as well as psychologists. And they do actually incorporate all of the modalities that we're talking about tonight. that we are. I've left today already. But no, they do actually incorporate a lot of the holistic, especially mindfulness as well, into the actual sessions, tailoring it for each and every single client. I know that I have done client sessions as well, and I've gone, okay, well, I've gone this modality, I've gone psychology, I've gone therapy, I've gone hypnotherapy. As I'm like, well, what do I do now? What do I, because, the client steered off in a different direction. And of course, I kind of followed with my intuition, what direction this was going in. And I said, you know what? I said, have you ever had a tarot reading before? And she's like, no. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to give you your first tarot reading. She's very, very, very skeptical. And after I started pulling out cards, and she looked at me, she's like, holy, and I quote, holy shit, where did this come from? You see, here's the thing is that, I'm not the one. I always tell people when I'm doing a tarot reading, do not ask. I don't want to hear what you have to say to me in terms of your relationship, or what questions you have for your love life, your work life, when am I going to move, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to tell you any of that, and none of my readings are ever going to be on a negative side, unless it's absolutely detrimental that you hear some bad news that may be possibly coming up in your life. But at the same time, I use that modality to read the cards to my client, to give her further guidance into an area that she'd never been in before. Not to make her believe, but to let her see a different perception, that there is other ways of thinking and there is other ways of guidance. And so by using that modality and incorporating it into psychology, it helps people go a little bit further, especially when people want to connect with loved ones on the other side, especially when people want to connect into, why they're feeling, and they just can't explain it, especially for those who are going through awakening. There are many different ways of looking at things. And so for people who are going to be educated, or people who are interested in psychic development and other modalities, the whole idea is to keep an open mind. Don't go around using this same old dogma that it was centuries ago, that you're a witch, you should be burned to the stake, and blah, 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 blah. Those days are long gone over. It doesn't even make sense to be saying, I'm going to burn you at the stake. That's just as bad as a Christian trying to judge another Christian for doing what they do.
Well, hang on, I'm going to intervene there and say, back in the 70s, it was a biggie. Everyone was coming, I want to know my past lives, and I want to know if I'm got karma here, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. There is no such thing. I want to get that right off the top here. Your past lives are assimilated in the oneness. And when you decide to come back based on your experiences in the past, you unify it all, collectively meet with all other spirits who also want to come down at this time, decide who's going to be mum, dad, Tom, Dick, and Harry, and friend, and whatever. And then, having done all that, you have a unification, like a ceremony of mixing all your spirits in the spiritual soul coding, which won't go into in detail now. And then you sit back and wait for all these people to be born in generations and generations before you can even turn up, which is why I wrote the Donald Trump book. Spirit wanted it out, and it's all about his ancestors that led him to be president. And you can see all the characteristics of his ancestors in him. Anyway, is there anyone on there who's looking for a reading or anything yet?
Nobody yet, but I will repeat the phone number is 929-436-2866, with the meeting ID number 522-657-2748. And I'd also just want to mention too that we do have a Japanese branch of our school. It is what is it called again, Margaret?
It's you caught me off. It's oneness or something. I can't remember. It's Katie Kanai. That's you. So I'm sorry, I've got to get my brain going. Let me get into Japanese. I've got to think in a whole different ball game when I get into that. Okay. Remy Kanai, Remi, then a second name, Kani, Kanai. Yeah, IE, I think it is. She's listed up on Universal Christchurch. She's our vice president there. She's very, very busy in Japan teaching all the courses that I taught her, plus she's evolved her own courses. She's a very, very well-known lady, and she does the top of Europe, and I think she even went to Sweden a bit, whereas I've done the lower Europe and gone out to Egypt and that way. Supposed to go to Australia. We'll have to see how we get there. But you know, everything that we can do is taught by many of my students, and they're all practicing in their own way, and they're very busy. And I've got psychologists who came to me over there who were just so burned out with 25 patients a day. They come in, how are you? I'm not doing very well. Okay, would you like a renewal of your medicine? Here it is, bye-bye. And they came and did my courses, won't bore you with which ones. She came back to see me about a year later. She said, I cannot believe the difference of what I've learned from you has made to my life. And I'm getting out of the medical profession of setting myself up as a private consultation for psychology and psychiatry, because she's fully trained university level and everything. But you see, the point of my mentioning this is the same here. All the doctors are specializing in script writing.
Yeah.
Okay. And they don't have, and even the students go to university, they study whatever it is in theory, and then they're interns. Well, in England, in the days when I was doing all that, you were on the ward, you were hands-on, you were in class, you were on hands-on, you're in class, so you could see and feel what you were learning theory in practice. These doctors are coming out and they haven't touched anyone. I'm very concerned about that. But on the other side, the new age awareness of therapies, for example, you mentioned psychology a lot. There was no ADDH, there was no post-traumatic stress disorder. These things have evolved out of the past when you were schizophrenic. And I remember my patients having electrical impulses in their brain and shocking them, as well as doing lobotomies. I mean, it was hell. So we've moved on, and we have to accept that these kids that are being born will come in with more wisdom and more knowledge. Hey, right. Okay, and so we're open now to ask people that are calling in, asking questions about themselves or about an issue. And we won't be too private because everyone else can hear it, but I will give answers and Katie will give answers as best as we can. Okay, you ready for that? Have we got someone with a question calling in?
No one yet.
Oh, okay, so we have more time to talk then.
Yeah, we do. Too. I just got the website. I've already posted it up for people who want to know the Japanese branch of the Universal Christchurch from Remy Kanai. It is the Oneness Institute. So the website is www.onenessinstitute.jp. Again, if you go over to that website, obviously it's going to all be in
but she speaks English.
Yes.
Fluently.
Japanese, but please do translate the website. And
wait. She's got two parts in the website. One part is all Japanese, and then it's repeated in English, so they can see it.
Yeah, but you have to click the English translation in order to see the English, and you'll see all of our details on that up there. We do have a caller in, by the way. Area code 435. We're going to let you on the air. Welcome to. There we go. Welcome to.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to.
Hi.
nice talking to you.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I'm not getting a picture. I can just hear your voice.
Yeah, because you called in.
You're on the
Okay,
phone.
all right. This is Laurie Pullen.
Who is this, sorry?
Laurie
Laurie.
Pullen? Yes.
Hi.
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 Have you got a question?
Question, or would you like?
Okay. Pardon me?
Do you have a question for us, or would you like a reading from one of us?
I would love a reading.
Hmm. Do you have a focus on an area that, because we could be all over the place with different things. Do you have an area you want us to focus on?
I kind of I feel gifted, but I don't know that I haven't pursued it.
Uh-huh.
I just would rather get my information from other people, I guess.
All right. The conflict within you is between I can and I can't, I will and I won't, I shall and I shan't. It's opposing modality of consciousness that most people have before they go into what I call the breakout period. You do have a very beautiful spirit guide who is, she's Tibetan. And
What?
she's Tibetan. And she's wearing the old clothes of the ancient times. Her hair is braided. Actually, she's saying, Tibet hasn't changed too much, so it's much the same. But she says that you are the heart and soul of her focus. She wants you to really trust in your own way, through your own life and your own circumstances, your instinct, because you keep looking outside of yourself for signs, and you need to look inward to what you feel instead of looking out there for a symbol or a sign. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
I get spiritual messages all the time. Things get moved, or I can lay in bed and feel somebody touching me. I don't know if it's my husband, my dad, my brother.
Well, don't never tell a medium anything, because that's where I was going.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So that's the next thing I was going to go, because she was going to say to me, no, I have to tell you, she brought this man to me and he said, beloved, this is his words, beloved, I am still visiting you frequently. Now, he used that word beloved. What does that mean to you? Because that's important.
That could be my husband or my dad.
No, it's your
or
dad.
My brother.
I'm sorry. I already said it's your husband. So he used the word beloved because it's special to you.
Yes.
Okay, so that's his way of confirming it's him. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Now, your father, I'm seeing vegetables. Did he grow them? Because I'm feeling he liked gardening.
Yes, we always had a vegetable garden.
Yeah, okay. You see, this is what we have to do. We have to prove to you it's them before we can give you a message. And you have no doubt whatsoever then, that's my dad. Okay. Your dad is an open, roundish face. I can see him, and his body was well built for his size. But he says that you need to trust there's a woman around you, younger woman, and you say you need to trust her. I think she might be a daughter. He's not saying that. I make that very clear. It might be someone else's daughter, but I feel like you're remarried and things like that. So he's saying you need to trust this woman, young woman, wants to do what she wants to do, will learn the hard way. When she falls, you can pick her up, not before. You're trying to stop it coming on. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I have a daughter that's kind of sick, so.
Okay. You got to let her go down before she can come up. What's wrong with your daughter?
She has brain cancer.
Oh dear. How old is she?
She is 35.
Okay.
35.
Okay. That's why I was feeling younger. Okay, I'm going to look at
You're
her
saying
brain.
younger?
No, I said I was feeling younger than you, like you're a mother and she's a child. But where's this second marriage come in?
I've not been remarried since my husband passed away.
No, I'm coughing. I'm clearing my throat chakra. What are you afraid of? Another relationship?
I just no, I really, yeah, I kind of am. I think I just don't. I kind of like where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, but I'm feeling you've got to socialize, and he wants you to socialize and make friends, and don't be afraid of romance.
Okay.
She's holding up a card. I'll let her say something in a minute, but let me come back to your daughter. I'm going into the midbrain, and I'm going down to what would be about here, and I'm going a little bit over to my right, and I'm feeling that her pituitary and a pineal gland are not in harmony. I will ask the spirit guides to send her healing. Okay, they will do that automatically. And you can always come back and let us know if you see any changes in her. They say they can shrink it. They can't operate, but they can shrink it.
Wonderful.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
That
okay,
is
Katie, what do you want to say?
I was just going to say too, I was pulling some cards as Margaret was talking, and I actually pulled the Six of Cups, believe it or not, which is basically to reconnect and socialize. So just backing up what Margaret said, I did see that, but I do feel that though too, that your energy is actually scattered. And you're trying to recalibrate yourself so that you can formulate those boundaries, because you're not, and do correct me if I'm wrong. Are you seeking this social friendships outside of the passing of your husband?
I I am, and I'm not. I'm just kind of. I mean, I would love, somebody to hold me at nighttime, but then again, I kind of like climbing into bed in the middle of the night whenever I feel like it too.
And sprawling out all over the place.
Yeah. Yes,
I feel that because of that connection, it is coming. I will say that it is coming. You're going to find that when you recalibrate your energy, so that it's not so scattered, you're going to find clarity in gaining some awareness about how you want to set those boundaries out, and the new boundaries, because obviously going through grief allows your mind to go in all sorts of different directions. And I know for a fact, it's like breaking up with a boyfriend. You're trying to figure out, where do I go now? Who do I trust? Who do I think that's going to be someone that's good for my energy, so that it can help me grow? I just want to tell you, just to have that
wait, I got it. Sorry, he's interrupting. He says, this is not what it's about. She is loyal to him. And he's saying that he gives her permission to go out and about and date. That's what he wants to say. And I had to wait. I was waiting, but if I don't give it, I'll lose it. Okay. He's saying thank you. He's going like that to me. I can see.
And I've had that dream of him telling me that.
Okay. See, she needs proof that he's saying that to her, and he wants her to have that. Her mother's also over there. She's standing beside him, and she's smiling. Her hair's in little.
Whose mother?
Your mother. Little curly things around her head.
My mother is still alive.
Oh, sorry. Then it has to be your grandma.
Okay,
it's a motherly figure, you see, and little curly hairs, little curly curls all the way around her head. Yeah, so and she's shorter.
He's really short, yes.
Yeah. He's quite tall and she's quite short. They're standing side by side. Okay, because I just got the motherly love, you see. So, okay, that's what that is then. Then I have to go somewhere else, because now I'm seeing somebody with what do you call it, a snowmobile? Do you know someone who had a snowmobile?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's not a rough road thing. It's definitely a snowmobile thing. Why am I seeing that?
I don't know.
No, I'm asking them.
Oh, okay. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
This is something you're going to see in your future. You're going to be seeing that. You're going to go there. It's something
Oh,
to
okay.
it's something to look forward to. Okay. And then I'm giving you a bunch of flowers, of which is daffodils. Daffodils are a symbol of telephone communication invites. So they're telling you, that she's pulled it out too. Okay, so I'm not going to hold everything. I want people to understand how spirit prove it's them. Do you see that? Can you honestly say that you think the information I've given you proves to you that these are the people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's important for these young ones who are coming in to know that what they see and tell mommy and daddy is what they see and what they hear. Okay, Katie, I'll step down. What?
But I do have young grandbabies that I watch. They come to grandma's on a regular basis, and I do let them do that.
That's good, because they wanted me to say that, and I thought I was just generally saying it, but maybe it was for you as well. Yeah. Okay, Katie, what have you got?
Sorry, I just randomly pulled a card because when you were talking about the snowmobile, I was kind of like, okay, so why is this happening? And as soon as I pulled the card straight off the top of the deck, I got the Lover's card. Yes, so you are going to receive something in the future. I just backed up what Margaret just said.
Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. Hopefully it's somebody I can live with.
Yeah. Well, did you have any question at all before you go?
No, I don't. I talk to, I give my dad and my grandma and my husband and my brother kisses every night. I talk to them on a regular basis.
Well, you know what, when you said that, your brother is off somewhere else. That's why he's not here now. He's preparing to do something with someone else and come back, because he wants to get back on Earth. So you might not hear him so often. Yeah.
That's okay. I understand. I've got my other little brother is quite sick, so I've kind of asked him to go help him, I've kind of sent him, or asked him to,
Yeah, it looks like you're going through a lot of issues right now, like most of us. So I wish you well.
We all do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Don't forget to ask for the healing for you as well.
I do. Sometimes I forget, but sometimes I do.
Well, your hip needs it, so don't forget that part.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in.
Okay, you two are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, you can always share the show, and then we can help more people. We would appreciate that.
I can sure do that. Okay, we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was nice. Anyone else?
Yes, we do have another one, and I know who this person is. It would be the famous Ted. Welcome, Ted. You are on air with us. How can we?
Hello.
Hi. What are you after today?
Well, I'm calling because I do have a question.
Okay, what's your question?
So lately, I've been kind of around somebody with schizophrenia, like you're saying a bit ago. I know you're talking about that a bit ago, so that kind of got me interested. And maybe how do I not perceive? How do I protect my own energy around this person? Because I notice I pick up the energy, and I feel like my energy becoming negative and a little bit dark, and I could feel the tension, So I'm trying to work on this and trying to figure out how to not feed into it and to protect my energy, plus also maybe help the person out at the same time.
Well, first of all, I'm looking at your aura. Katie's got your aura. You might want to find that picture. And the chakras are on your body because of the trauma that you've been through for your life. Those chakras need to be rebuilt okay, and strengthen, because when a chakra, it's like a record. If it slows down, it's okay. You need to be they're high, you know. So just to show us an example with sound, but the bottom line is you could do with a good healing session to rebuild your chakras, teach you and train you how to close down your chakras. Have you ever learned anything like that? Because you're not closing down.
No, I don't think I have. I don't think I've gone to that point.
Why don't we teach you? Because people listening who've got issues with family in the same house, this will help a lot. Okay. So if you're holding your phone, I don't know how you're calling in, but put your phone down so you can hear us, but not hold it. Okay. And I'm going to close you from the crown down to your feet. Okay. And the reason we're starting with the crown is we receive the energy from the oneness. And as I attune to you, I can feel the whole of the back of your head, which includes the crown and the third eye. You are, in your own way, a bit of a nuisance to yourself, because you're constantly questioning, why is this, why is that, how's this, when's that, what's this do, what's that do? So you're overworking your brain, right? So in order to rest the brain, I want to say before we even close you down, you need to do single-minded things like do a crossword puzzle, read a book, do a jigsaw puzzle, watch a movie. Well, no, I don't want you to watch a movie. They say you go off at a tangent. But watch something or do something where you focus on one subject, like find the words in a word search book, you know, so that you're resting your brain, because you're using your brain way too much and you're having conflict. Okay. Now, the energy from the oneness comes down into your crown chakra, which is like the little bald patch that monks have. Okay. Now, when you're trying to get healing from the oneness, you want it to be a cup shape on your head. When you're working with this man, you open it up like a fan down to your shoulders. And that means you're searching to understand him, but you're getting his brain in your brain.
Okay.
So you can't be with someone who's schizophrenic, which is not what he has wrong with him. Actually, he's got bipolar. So what you have to do is, in your mind, push that aura up so that you've got this cup on your head. So the Holy Ghost, the oneness energy, comes into the core center of your brain and then runs down in the midbrain and can spread out to your third eye. Now, so physically, just put your hands on either side of your temples, as it were, and push your hands up. And exercise teaches the mind. So make that cup shape on your head. Got that? That's close. And say out loud, close. All right.
What is it?
Now,
Close.
is he looking? Have you got a video on, or are you just listening?
No, he was asking. Margaret said close.
Yeah, but can you see me, or are you just listening?
I'm just listening, but you know what? Hold on a second. Okay.
All right,
I can see you.
So okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm pushing it up. So I have my hands like this. So it's like I'm catching the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, the oneness, into my brain, so that my brain is receiving energy. Okay. Now, for your third eye, which is here, you just frown. Feel the tension for a bit and say close. You must say close out loud. Otherwise, your brain just dismisses it. So you do the physical and you say close. Okay. Then for your throat chakra, these all, by the way, overlap. Okay. So now we're coming to the throat chakra, which is up to your nose and down to your thymus. Okay. Your third eye overlaps that. Your crown chakra overlaps the third eye. Okay. So they're all intermarried. Now, for your throat, you swallow 3 times, like that, big swallow. And you say close now out loud. Okay?
Close?
Yeah, close. You
Okay.
have to hear your say close. You're closing down, in other words. Okay.
Close. Okay.
Right. Now you come to your heart chakra. Your heart chakra is parallel to your nipples, and it comes up over your thymus, and it goes down to overlap over your solar plexus. So rib cage, the bottom of your rib cage is that, you want me to stand up so I can show you. Okay, that's how big it is. Okay, and so when you breathe in, and then as you breathe out, close, you let all the air out of your lungs. Got it?
Okay. I got it.
Okay, and then for your solar plexus, I'm going to stand up again. That is here, it comes all the way down like this, up to over your ribs. So it's overlapping the heart chakra. Okay, and it's overlapping. I can't get on tippy toe. Down here is your base chakra, where your private soul. So it's overlapping. So you pull the tummy muscles in. I don't know if you can see mine, but pull them in. See, pull them in. You'll feel it at the back too. And you say again, close out loud. And then for your base chakra, you squeeze your privates together and say close. Now there's one more chakra that runs from the left rear where my hand is on my hip bone. See, I'm turning sideways at front way so you see me. And the other one, your hand goes on the front of the hip bone on your right side, parallel to your waistline. Got it?
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And if I forget, then I'll go back to this
Now
recording.
this one, before you close it, you want to rock like a baby's rocking, or you can do circles like this, backwards and forwards. You can do it any which way you want, making circles, but make your hands go the same way as a pear. And when you've done that, you visualize a seesaw, and you want to bring that seesaw to parallel. Okay. And then when you've done that, you stretch your hands down to your side and say close and balance. And then you've got your hands and your feet. So you do your hands and your feet, and you wriggle your feet, and you say close. You're grounded then, you're in your body. And then you go visit your friend, and you will find the only part you're using is up here, and you'll be able to handle him better. Okay?
Okay.
And anyone listening, if you've got family issues going on, that's what you should do. And frequently. Thank you, Ted. Is there anything else you wanted to know?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for now, because I just been feeling like this negative energy around, and I noticed
I have a question.
Okay.
Would you be interested in Margaret doing a reconnection for you?
Okay, that's fine.
So when we're ready in the future, we can figure out when we can do that. Yeah.
You want to do a full reconnection for Ted?
Well, you're using a word. Hey, everyone, I'm not modern technology. What do you mean by reconnection?
A reconnection with his loved one.
Oh, well, no, that would be private.
You want to do a private one? Okay.
No, I would never do an issue like that. I mean, the best thing I can say is that sometimes you have to let go in order to find what you really were seeking. And that would be enough for now.
Wow.
But if I was to say everything about it, it's too much trauma, and you don't want your washing in public.
For the listeners out there who don't know, Ted, did I not just say that yesterday when I gave you a reading?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know what you were saying.
I gave him a reading yesterday because I felt compelled to, and I said words that just came out of your mouth.
Well, you see, the one is what we don't realize is we think that we're on our own, and then the spirit guide just turns up and sees a little bit of what we're doing and disappears.
Right.
We are all telepathic with, in a spiritual sense, from the oneness. So if I want to talk to Jesus, Jesus is here. If I want to talk to Siddhartha Buddha is here, and so on. You know, so I have many, 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 many. I can't even, beyond even counting, spirit guides who come and go as it seems, but their consciousness is always present. Where it's
Okay.
always there. We just have to allow ourselves to tap into it and hear it, or feel it, or see it, or know it. You know. And that's where most humans fall short, because they're in judgment and in assessment of that judgment. And this is why I did a whole show on, you know, what was it, last week or the week before, on hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's so important to realize you cannot rely on hearsay, especially in politics and whatever is going on television. We have to listen to our instinct and our intuition. And if you're listening to somebody and they're saying, you know, negative stuff, and you're sitting there going, really, I believe it. Your eyes are open wide. You know, you're sucking it in. And then the next thing you know, you're entwining that with knowledge you have elsewhere. And you're confused.
Right.
What do I believe? What don't I believe? Who's right? Who's wrong? And you end up.
Yeah, I think that's why my mind's the way it is, the way you're explaining it right there.
Yeah, I am. And so I want you to realize single-minded things, like I said, doing a crossword puzzle gives your brain a rest, and it gives your brain a chance to actually sort out and find something deeper in you that can help you to make changes. Whereas if you keep doing the same old thoughts, you're going around in circles with yourself.
Yeah, and not only that, you're not exactly open to receiving either. You're kind of subconsciously rejecting everything that comes to you.
He's giving me a headache. I'm feeling him bodily. He's in your brain would give me a massive headache. Do you get headaches?
Yeah, and plus my blood pressure is a little high right now, so I'm kind of dealing with that.
Yeah, which is also stress, fear, pain, anger, guilt, and loss that you're dealing with. So you need to ground that. So when you get off the phone, go do the exercise I just gave you while you're quiet. But remember, you've got to say out loud, close. Your brain has to hear it 21 times before you're saying, I've mastered it. And then you can do it like, oh, like and you just shut down, because I've only got a blink and I can do it. But to now, because I'm reading you, I'm open, and that's why I can feel your headache. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you for calling in. Good. Yeah. Thank you for calling in. We enjoy it when you do. Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for the teachings and everything.
You're welcome.
All right. You guys have a good day.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else calling in?
Nobody else calling in at the moment, but we always love callers that call in, and it's nice that we're starting to actually have some callers call in now. And we do encourage, for those people who are listening, to share out the show every week and let everybody know what we're listening, what they can be listening or be educated about each week. Because you know what, there's so much that we can learn and so much that we can take away from. You know, each to their own. It may not resonate with everybody, but there is so much that we can absorb into the way that we do things, change our perception, to change, maybe to aid that healing that we so long to heal, or to give you the correct path, maybe not the correct path for everyone, but the correct path that you needed to heal.
Personal one, yeah.
To move forward, to gain clarity, to I don't know, to be where you need to be at any given particular time. Whether that's the first step to healing is taking that first step, and if it means that by listening to this show, you take that first step, then by all means ask us the questions.
Let me interject here some examples of how important it is, the sharing. So, for example, when my examples was when I first heard the oneness, which is in my journey into an unknown world, my what was it called? My book, my life story book. I wrote it in there. I was only a child, but God's voice came to me and explained what the oneness was. And of course, I went running to Mum afterwards to say, I heard the voice of God in oneness, but my new sister was home and it's just like, oh yes, eyes rolling and don't believe me and stuff, But as the years went by, my mother began to acknowledge that I had created the oneness word by Spirit giving it to me. And I used to go around London using it and talking it. And I used to do the whole life expos and all the things that we had in those days, aquarium festivals, and even went to the rock concerts because we had a big tent where we were doing stuff as well. So I had a lot of exposure with the teaching and using the word oneness. Little did I know that it was going to go all over the world. Okay, now I'm going to give you another one. I had a person who was doing that kind of Reiki healing where when the person, they don't touch the person, and when the person is being healed has an ideomotor response where they go like this and jump and stuff, and they didn't have a name for it. And so I told them it's a combination of Marconi, which invented sound, radio, and electronics. So I gave them the name Marconics, which is sound. And I didn't even think any more about it. I just gave it. And I think I mentioned it in a couple of shows. Well, it was about 6 months ago, Spirit said to me, Marconics again. I said, oh, what about it? They said, go online. So I went online for Marconics. There's hundreds of practitioners now calling it Marconics. And I had no idea because when I do this work, I don't name it. It was just these people were beginners and they were working with Reiki and had found this amazing energy that affects the etheric body through sound and light. And so electronics is, electrical impulses, which is light and sound. So, hey, I gave the world a word and now everyone's using it except for me. But that's the way of life, isn't it? And that's what people, these young ones, coming back to the kids, they need to grow up with these words.
Well, they don't have any repertoire of language right now because everything is shorthanded. And I think, didn't we talk about this last week?
Yeah, we did. I hate it. I mean, we talked about PD, for example, because I had it, and the many other things it means. People, if you want to have a revolution, my revolution to you is forget initials. A person's got a name. The situation's got a name. People do things that have a name. You have illnesses that have a name. Please use them, because it's not fair to the kids who are growing up learning just capitals. They need to know the meat and gravy of words. Hell, my dad used to make me sit and read the dictionary when I was young so I could learn to use things like ubiquitous, which means everywhere. I never use it, but at least I know it. I'm sure you do. You throw a lot of words at me, but you also use all those capitals, as I call it, short versions. And what I'm like. I'm sitting there going, what?
Yeah, abbreviations. I have so I know so many big words that I can't even pronounce half of them. So I tend to just abbreviate them. It sounds so much better, but it's not articulate. It's really not. And that's why which reminds me, I was just going to say something. That's why I do it on my show. But I will say that I am bringing back my show next Wednesday.
Good, because you had a break, yeah.
Bit of a break. I had some personal issues that I had to deal with and whatnot. So and of course work obligations that I needed to complete. And so I am going to be bringing it back, and I will let you know to all the listeners out there, if you are wanting to listen to my show, it's on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic I'm going to be doing, I had a whole, before I went on a little mini hiatus, I had all these topics that I had already pre-planned. And so I'm just going to resurrect them all and restart it all over again. And so the topic that I'm going to be doing on Wednesday is on destiny and free will.
That's a good one. Go forever on that.
Yeah, so I hope that everybody can join me on that. And so I'll be going back to do it my usual ways on my show and teaching like I normally do. What I love.
Yeah, and like you know, I've had the same thing going down here. So, but it was more technical. First of all, we had all the wire-free service go down for a whole day, so we couldn't get online. And then my breaker went on my house, so I couldn't do anything electrical for a whole day. So that was 2 days I lost. Plus, I had issues going on in my family. So yeah, I didn't get to do my show this week on time, but I will be doing that. And I'm going to basically be talking about the future on that show. I don't know exactly how spirit guides are in my head whenever I do anything. So we talk. But you know, I'm putting, thanks to Katie, I'm making the video and the audio. I'm separating them. So some are up on YouTube and some are up on SoundCloud, which I'm very grateful to you for doing, Katie, my whiz kid.
Let me just say, Laurie just said that all of a sudden I feel I have dragonflies
around her, you mean? Or
she said all of a sudden I have dragonflies.
Yeah, but real or you have to clarify that.
I'm not sure. Laurie, if you're still listening, can you please let us clarify that why you said that comment? That would be lovely. Becca has just commented, I apologize if this is the wrong platform. Laurie said yes, all around.
All around, real ones.
Real.
Yeah, okay, this is a season. She must be in the moist area. Dragonflies, they're wonderful creatures. They don't live very long once they come out, but they are the symbol of transformation and change, just like butterflies are. But dragonflies are more mystical in that we always associate them with fairyland. And quite honestly, many of the fairies can appear like dragonflies. So it'd be interesting. But if she's seeing a swarm of them, then that's a natural hatching. Usually when a fairy comes into view, there's only one or two or three. I used to see them a lot when I was a child. And England was a good climate for those kind of thing where there's water. Does she live near water? A pond or something?
When she comments, I just want to mention too, Becca just set up here in the comments. So while we're waiting for Laurie, Becca said, I apologize if this is the wrong platform. Ms. Margaret, are you still in LHC, Arizona, available for counseling pertaining to loss? I'm just reaching out.
Yes, I am. I have been in this house for over 21 years and I will be here until I leave, whenever that might be in the future. No, I meant out of this world. No, I'm not going to move. I love it here. So yes, I'm here. Okay.
So how is Becca able to reach out to you?
928-486-1893. It's my phone number. It's the only phone I've got. It's up on the website.
Yes, of course, we'll mention all the websites in that. Laurie just got back to us. I hope that helps you with that answer that question, Becca. If not, you can always just go up onto this page and just reach out and send a message. Both of us will receive it. We will reply back. Or you can go to any of Margaret's pages or contact her directly and just give her a call. You're best to call after 11 o'clock or midday-ish Arizona time. That is probably the best time to call her. Don't call her any earlier than that, please.
Well, when you're up talking to Japan for ages, and they're 18 hours ahead, you don't get to bed too early.
But yeah, send if you want to just message me or Margaret, you can message us through. I will mention too that our email address is Sumaris, sumaris@gmail.com. You can find you can send your query there if you'd rather email rather than call. Of course, you can go over to the SumarisEducationCenter.com website, easypeasysolutions.org, universalchristchurch.com, samariscenter.com also, and you can also go over to the somafusionmedia.com and soma-fusion.com as well. You can contact either or on either of those websites I just mentioned, as well as the email, as well as the telephone number as well. And of course, if those people who do want to reach out to me for services and thereof, my phone number is 202-227-7566. I'm pretty sure that this phone number is also listed up on the Facebook page. You can also directly contact us up on social media as well. We are everywhere. So, and if you're having trouble thereabouts trying to find us again, just Google our names. You should be fine.
I would like to, when you're done, I would like to talk about the future a bit.
Yes. Also to Laurie has just messaged and she said, I'm in an extreme drought. It's near water, but not a swarm. Well, not near water, but it's not a swarm either. I assume that's what she says. What she meant by that, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing.
Well, if there's only a few of them, she could take it as a message that the light is around her, because the darkness she's had a lot of negativity lately. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right, so am I free now? I just want to talk about the future in terms of what Spirit was telling me last night. And I think people should know. First of all, they said to me, never believe everything you hear. Look for facts, and facts that are clear and easy to understand. If they come complicated, suggested, inferences, anything that is going to get you confused, don't take it as gospel, because they were warning us that there will be a lot of uprisings, rebellions, more world changes, more weather changes. There's even going to be another shift in degrees on our poles, though it does shift all the time in case anyone starts getting afraid. But with the influence, the wobbly moon we're going through right now, why is the moon wobbling? Because it's being affected by the universe and by us. It's in a polarity pull. So our Earth is doing something affecting our universe, and we are climate-wise rebuilding this Earth. And so we cannot, and I stress this very much, use fuels anymore. We must allow our trees to grow. So even if you, like me, are in the desert, I have a backyard with nothing but dirt, but as soon as the fall comes, I'm going to put some trees in. We need trees that give us the oxygen, because they live on carbon dioxide. We need the plants. And most important, they were saying animals. We've abused them. Whether it's food animals or pet animals or wild animals, they need to be taken care of. And we have to change our way of thinking. For example, running chickens into a great big, I don't know what you call them, barn, and locking them down with lights all night and just putting, bags of grain on the floor and saying they're running free is not running free. They're not on the ground, they're not on earth. And just like humans, they need their feet in earth. Just the same as animals that are being lined up for the slaughter. You can't put them the way they do on the Freeway 5. You smell the smell long before you even get there. And you could see them, their eyes are like they're in terror because they could smell their abilities to smell, psychometry, clairvoyance, clairaudience, something I mentioned earlier, clairsentience. They're using it because it's how they survive. They don't talk like us. They don't rationalize. They're using their psyche. So every animal on those farms can feel the blood and the death of those that have gone before them. And I was watching a movie, even I was abhorred. 1 a second, they're killing. 1 a second. Are we that greedy that we need a whole 10 ounce of beef? When I was a kid and with war and everything, 10 ounces wasn't even given to us. Mum, I think, got 6 ounces, and that was shared between the 4 of us.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you pumped it up with a few more potatoes, a bit more cabbage, which is better for us because it cleaned us out. And generally, dessert was something like an egg-shaped pie or something with some custard on, which filled you up. Over here, it's all sugary pies this big. And when I first came to this country, I could not believe what I was given. And I was not eating well those days because I had so much going on in my life. I felt terrible leaving, I'd get my dinner this big, I'd eat about this much, and I've got this much still on my plate. And I felt so guilty because I had in my head, there are thousands of babies all over the world starving. And this is going in the trash. Another example is when a restaurant closes, they're not allowed to let the transients, whoever they might be, families or anybody today, especially in LA, sorry, I have coffee. They're not allowed to go to the back of the restaurant and get a box of food. The restaurant has to put that food in the trash. Now these people know it's there. They're diving into filthy, dirty trash bins to get that food to give to them kids themselves. What are we doing? The rules of this country, whatever they are about health, need to really be looked at. I'm for that. I'm not political, okay? I'm talking about what I see in everyday life. So, it's not just California, it's a whole world. There are people starving to death because of bad management, rules and regulations in various cases that are Piscean in age, out of date, useless, and not helping us break away from that towards the future. And these kiddies, like your little boy, it just showed himself, oh, well, that's so cute. Basically, he's going to grow up with all of this. We want to give him a solid foundation stone. Indeed, every child across this planet needs to know they're safe, they're loved, they're fed, and they're educated. And third world countries must rise up because it's their turn to take over, believe it or not. Well, we, the Western world and whatever we got, go down because we're killing ourselves with the wrong medicines and the wrong houses and the wrong fuel and the wrong whatever you want to talk. So the third world countries, they got nothing, but they are thinking, they're inventing, they're going to come up with stuff, they're going to create stuff. And those kids born in those countries, they will fight for it. Whereas our kids in these countries in the West, oh, I just take it for granted. And if I don't want it, I'll just chuck it in the trash. We can't do that anymore.
No.
And we don't want a third world war, do we?
See, well, that's the thing, is that we're brought up with convenience, and therefore our brain does not does not comply with proactive action at all. It's just like, okay, well, it's convenient. I can heat up something in the microwave, and that's convenient for me, and I don't really have to cook.
I know, but what happens when you can't cook anymore? You suddenly find, I don't know what to do. I've forgotten how to cook.
That's why you find a lot of teens or young people now. I mean, maybe I'm part of that 80s generation where we were the last of our generation before it hit into the 90s, that we actually learned how to do a bit of everything from the previous generation.
Yeah, and we did a show on that, didn't we?
Yeah, that crossroads between the previous generations and knowing what everything is old, as opposed to now we're going into technological advancements, and actually now knowing all of that, because that was the start of the computer era. And so therefore we're kind of like that halfway point. We can actually go ahead and we can teach the younger and we can teach the older. And so, but it doesn't always necessarily apply to those millennials that were born after maybe 1988, taking a rough guess in the dark. But yeah, for those people that are my age are considered on the lower end of the spectrum, a geriatric millennial.
I could give you 101 case scenarios where I've seen people come to me in different ways where they insist they don't know how and they're too lazy to learn.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you give them the opportunity to learn, even free, whatever it might be, they make excuses. And here I'm going to tell you about short version. It was on British TV when I was over there about 4 years ago. A whole bunch of kids were taken off the street, 6 or 7 boys and girls each. And they were asked if they wanted to go to Indonesia and help the canning fishery business in a nutshell. They knew where they were going. Well, when they got there, it's a third world country. And anybody listening, I want you to hear this. They want to go party. They go out to one of those little bidet things in the floor. No running water, and use your imagination, everyone. Every fecal matter and whatever anybody'd used was parked up there. Nobody's cleaning it. That was the toilet. They threw up. They thought, what the hell? Okay. Even then, they fussed about finding a bush. Okay. Now, then they go into the factory. In short version, the smell of fish, obviously. The girls had long, like I just had my nails done. I haven't had them done in 4 years. But these girls, they had them out here, right? Long nails and false nails and whatever they had, I don't know. But it was all prettied up, makeup and the whole thing. And of course, the woman who's in charge of them makes them strip down everything. Nails, hair has to be put up in a knot, and caps, and for hygiene, according to their ability. And then they went through the system. They had to go in and put the fish in hot water so the skin had come off, and then they had to pass it on. Someone else had to take the bone out, and so on and so forth, until it got canned. Well, I tell you, the 7 each boys and 7 girls, they ended up with about 4 who survived it. I won't go into the whole story, but the boys had to go out fishing, catch the tuna, bring it back. They were, oh, that's it, we're done for the night. Oh no, stay on the boat, you go sleep here, we're going out in another half an hour. And they went out 5 or 6 times to catch the fish because they only come in at a certain time. And they were all throwing up, they were all complaining, they were moaning and groaning. And then finally, when they're back home anyway, they said to them, well, would you buy this tuna, canned tuna, now that you've been there and seen what we've gone through? And each one responded with, no, I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't eat it, but I would buy it and give it to my cat. And I'm sitting there thinking, they would need to know what it's like to have no food. Give them a week without any food, they'd eat that tuna. And it was done well you saw the way they were very careful to make it clean inside the factory. But it's an island, and when the end of the week, the girls got $3 for salary for working there. They went to the store, the only store, and bought, the girl who'd been organizing them, candy These women needed vegetables and meat and chicken or whatever they had, which is all imported and cost an arm and a leg to them. These kids, for all of that, still had no idea the value of their dollar to these people. A dollar is like $100 to them.
Yeah.
And they
see, that's why I appreciate the fact that my first international trip was actually to a third world country. And while I was there, I never had any power. I had never had any proper food that we Westerners know about. We didn't have running water. So I learned the hard way. And yeah, I did get food poisoning. I had that little going on. But
I learned that in India.
Whoever just called in, can you please call back in again? We are here. Yeah, we were just I was just waiting up for Margaret to finish what she had to say before we took you on. But if you are still listening, please call back in and I'll accept you in. We'll bring you into the conversation so you can get your reading or ask your question.
Yeah, India was like that when I went there in 1979, and they only produced one car. So you saw the same car all over the place. So I used to think to myself, not that I had any cars or much in those days myself, but I used to think, how would I know if they're all parked in the car park? How would I know which one's mine? Yeah. And then the other thing that really shocked me was they had what was left of the British Empire hotels. They called them 5-star hotels, which in parallel to what we would have by now evolved from, would call them a 1 or 2 star hotel. And right next door would be this whole area of what I call shantytown, but it's not really the right word, because they were palm tree shelters, on sticks, and there was an oil lamps at night, and they would sleep under there. These were the common people, and the potty was right beside wherever you squatted. And I had occasion when I need an emergency, and I had to get help. And a woman, I wrote this in my life story book because it just cut me to the soul. She undid her sari, which is a public toilet, and I had no choice. I had to go. I had the diarrhea thing, and protected me that I could do that, and gave me tissues and everything, while men were seeing her naked and commenting in their Hindi about, I could get a couple of words here and there about her nice body and stuff. I gave her in those days about 8 rupees, which was like about $50. That was enough for her to feed her family for a couple of months, she told me. Because she'd gone through that and done that for me. But I'll never forget that woman. I will find her when I go to the spirit world. I will hug that woman so much. That was a big lesson for me.
Same thing too, as every ounce, every bit of change that I had, every bit of money that was loosely defined, I actually gave all of my money away. When I came back to Australia after my trip to Sierra Leone, which is probably one of the most poorest countries in the world, and I did not come back with any money whatsoever. I gave it all away. I didn't even have enough money. We stayed in, me and my first husband, we stayed in Heathrow because we had, I think like an 8-hour layover or something, if I remember correctly. And we were like, oh shit, we don't have any food. And so, because we'd left all our money in Sierra Leone, we just left it there, to family. That I particularly reached out to, and mostly they were children. I told the children, I was like, go out and get yourself a loaf of bread. Go. Some of them that I picked or chose, or whichever just happened to be there, wasn't by choice, but or favoritism in any way. But I told him, I'm like, here, go get yourself a soda, go get yourself some candy, go get yourself some.
But again, that's not probably what they needed. Probably needed a sandwich. I was the same in Mexico. I mean, I want people to understand just because we think Mexico, is our neighbor and they're blah, blah, blah. But when you go down into real Mexico, not the coast and having everybody waiting on you, when you go down into the real Mexico and you work with the clinic, so I was working for pharmaceutical people, and they allowed me to go to clinic and work there for a day or two here and there. I would have loved to have done more, but those people, they've got no medicine. When we go down over the border and we get the medicine, and we say, oh, it's cheap. It is cheap. But even those people down in deeper Mexico, they can't get that medicine because they haven't got any money to buy that medicine. So I want people to understand, no matter whether you're in America and you've got no money for your medicines here, or you're in France or Italy and you can't get your money for your medicines, the pharmaceutical, and I've known this since I was a nurse, the pharmaceutical businesses, I'm talking not the ones that are in existence now, this is the forerunners, they already had control over Europe when I was a young woman. So you can imagine what an empire they've now integrated between all the different countries and supplying all this stuff. So, okay, we can buy the same medicine down in Mexico for half the price we pay here. You can go to India and buy the same medicine for even half of what you pay in Mexico. There has to be a correlation between medicines, first of all, the ones that really work and we really need, versus the ones that we don't need. And okay, people are having surgeries and whatever, and they need all these things while they're unconscious and whatever. And I've been there, I've seen all that being a nurse. But the bottom line is, we managed back then in the 60s, when I go nursing, 59, 60, 61, somewhere around that time I started. We managed with what we had, and we didn't know what we know today. But 90% of when you go to a hospital bill is the computerized version, the machine version, the stand here and do this and do that. We need to come back to our psyche. Like I said, psychodermatherapy, with my fingers touching a body and my skill, I can see inside that body. I can feel that energy of that organ or whatever it is I'm looking at, bring it back into my mind and know exactly what's wrong with that person. Right? And all they're going to pay me is, my fee for now. Someone else could go and ignore me and think, I don't trust her, go to the hospital, have umpteen tests, told nothing. And I know a case, that's why I'm mentioning this, and spend over $5,000 out of their pocket because they're not on, senior. Come to me, I do my hand thing, tell her exactly what's wrong, treat her, and she's better for $125. We have got to train these young ones to be healers, to do all these skills that I have. I'm just a pioneer forerunner, and I want to leave the world knowing that I've trained the moms of these kids to do these things so that these kids will grow up and take it even further with technology and science to understand it and why it works and understand the coding of our spirit and why that works. And, I keep studying. I never stop studying. I'm a professor, but I study other professors' research. And when I first heard about the chain, the DNA and the RNA, well, I knew about that years ago. But now the telomeres, and they're going further and further, and how we can change it and adapt. Can you imagine what these kids in the future as healers are going to know? Mm-hmm. It's going to be so different, and we need to prepare them for it. Well, do we have anyone call? Because if not, I think we're running out of time, aren't we?
We're over time already.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's okay.
Well, I enjoyed myself, even if nobody else turned up. I'm wondering, maybe we could do a survey and ask people, what would it take to draw your interest to listen and share?
I don't know. put it out there, people in the comments. If you're listening up on YouTube or on Facebook, please answer that question. What would it take for you, for more listeners to listen to this show? Is there anything that we can change? Anything we can be proactive in? Oh, Laura said she loved it. So you know what, the comments that have been coming through this evening, especially you know, the ones that I've tagged you up on my wall. So there's a second broadcast as well up on Facebook. And they've all said that they actually love this show. They love the information. They love the fact that they're being taught something new, or they're actually, yeah, they just love hearing us. There is nothing that they would actually change whatsoever.
Oh, maybe we're so enthralling. I got a joke. No, I do love sharing. I do love teaching. I got to admit it.
Maybe we're just cute looking girls. I don't know.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for listening then anyway. And I appreciate if you share, because we want to help people. We're not here making a wealth of money. But hey, please go to Samara's Education Center and see what I've asked Katie to put up about our intro talk, which is free. And I'm planning on working with Katie to teach you to develop your psychic skills. So if you've been listening, you might want to go there and sign up.
There's plenty of stuff that's going to be put up as well. Obviously, both Margaret and I, we also have our services that we offer, our for therapy, readings, all sorts of stuff, off air, as well as teaching that we have various other courses that we do. I know that I have, I'm going to be having 7 of my own courses that I'll be teaching. So not only will I also be you know, sitting in on some of the courses that Margaret is also teaching, but Margaret also has her own courses that she has as well. So we're both highly developed people, or ladies who have already courses already to share. And not only that, I just want to put out a shout out for those who are sound teachers with extensive backgrounds or academia in these areas to please contact us at samarasucc@gmail.com and let us know that you are a teacher. Provide us the evidence that you are not just a talker, but you are an actual teacher in these subjects. Because we know that there are plenty of people that are very knowledgeable about these subjects as well, and they have their own shows. Maybe they do a vlog on social media somewhere. We're not looking for vloggers. We're looking for actual teachers with backgrounds in academic backgrounds in this. So please email us at samarasucc@gmail.com and let us know what kind of teaching capacity you're at and the evidence that comes with it and what you want to teach.
And I want to go back into the book, what is it? What's it? I can't even remember my book. It's so long since we haven't got it. The Coronavirus Explained. Okay. We are going to put this up. I don't know if you've already done it, actually, because you've been so busy, but we are going to put the link up for you on Facebook, on our pages, for you to then follow that link to, is it Samaris? Which one did you put it on? Or going to? Or you're just going to put it up on Facebook straight away, then you got the whole thing?
I do what I do best, and I put it everywhere.
Okay, so if you want a copy of that book to read, and if you speak French, Italian, German, or whatever it is, Hispanic, yeah, you feel like you would like to interpret it, you could even audio interpret it. We don't care. We just want to help people, because right now the COVID is going to start flourishing again. It's going to mutate. They already know it. They're trying to get the kids to be inoculated. There's side effects on that inoculation. Once you learn about colloidal silver in distilled water, underlined distilled water, you would not want to have inoculation. I've been doing distilled water with colloidal silver ever since my husband died, and he was a pre-runner before they knew what it was. But yes, his lungs filled up with fluid. He had everything wrong with the kitchen sink. And even then, because I knew he had something catchy, I was taking colloidal silver. I didn't know what it was. That was revealed a couple of months later after he passed. So, but colloidal silver will kill every bug in your body. We explained this at the beginning of the show, and it's easily available. And by the way, if you're in Africa, it will, and you've been bitten by a tsetse fly or a mosquito, it will kill all the eggs and all the infections it makes in your body. And you will not go blind with tsetse fly and all that. It's amazing. It neutralizes the body. All you have to do is put back your prebiotics, which is your enzymes, into your digestive system and your probiotics. And you will. Look at me. I hope I'm a good example of being 79, I just heard.
Don't worry, I actually, even though I'm 35 and I still take colloidal silver as well, I actually take it. I have a whole bottle of it. But no, if people are looking for colloidal silver, go over to Amazon. There's lots of different strengths you can get. But please go find a trusted brand to buy. Don't just buy anything.
Yeah, you don't want somebody who's been making, and mind you, there are people, I have a person here in town who makes it.
Yeah.
But no, you don't know what water they're using or what whatever they're doing. So it's all right. I asked this particular person, she said no, she just keeps it amongst her family. But yes, there are a lot of people who do know about it and do use it, and they're fine. And they don't, I haven't worn a mask. I only wear a mask. Oh, another thing you can do with it, if you've got the colloidal, you've got a little cotton bud, you can just put it on and stick it up your nose like they do these other things. You don't have to go up here. You can just go to about here and you can run it across under your lip and go shopping and you're protected.
Mm-hmm. And
so,
and for the crawlers that are out there on social media, we're not giving you out of medical advice at all. We're just giving you a suggestion of our own experience. So we're not going to sit here and promote it, but we will tell you that they are out there, and the precautions that you need to do your research, find the right sellers, and yeah, there's many things that can happen when using it. So that's all I will say. Just for other things, but we are not here to medically diagnose you or tell you what to do. You're going to make your own assumptions, discern what you need to discern, and then move on.
Yeah, the bottom line is each one of us is encoded with our own truth. Listen to yourself, not someone else.
Exactly. Well, with that said, do we have any final statements?
No, I think we pretty well covered everything. I think you need to give a big shout out to your radio show. I was, I get muddled when I'm trying to do it and I don't say it right. So mine is on soundcloud.com. Ask Dr. Margaret Speech. You tell yours.
Mine is up on the same pages that everybody's listening to this show on. Soma, you can find me at soma-fusion.com, somafusionmedia.com, all show times. We have multiple shows up on this network. I think there's currently hang on, I'm taking my whiteboard down back. There are 8 shows, I think, that are up on the network right now. So it's not just mine, but my show is making a comeback again after a short mini hiatus due to personal issues and other things that is going on. And I'm hearing a monster truck right in my ear right now. It's coming through the microphone.
No, it was all right. Yeah.
But anyway, my show airs on Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are talking about destiny and free will. And I hope that people can come and join us. Or join me anyway, as I teach and inform you about or make aware about what destiny and free will really entails, and whether we actually are our bodies, our souls, our meat sticks in a way is predestined to live out a life that that is out of our control.
Yeah, and I've been doing videos on YouTube for so long. There's some little pitchy PR things. Ignore those. Go for the longer ones. It was back in the day when they first started doing videos that everyone said you have to do 2-minute things. So, but yeah, whatever you're looking for, search it. There's always going to be someone out there with some information for you.
Yeah, and like I said, we have plenty of people on this network on Soma Fusion Media. You can find us on Facebooks, YouTube's, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can find both of us up on all of the platforms anyway. And not only that, you can also find all of the hosts that we have up on the network all over social media as well. So I encourage you to go over and seek their information as well. I will mention too, just one final shout out to if you would like to contribute to the Katie Kamara Healing Center in Rakai, Uganda, please, if you want to contribute, whether you want to volunteer, whether you want to participate in the raising or crowdfunding of the money that goes to the birthing of the Katie Kamara Healing Center. We are looking for contributions right now in terms of money and donations. We're currently raising $3,000 to pay for 12 months for the rent, some power, and obviously there's some items that are required to go into a building like that. But the Katie Kamara Healing Center is committed to provide medical services, including a small birthing center, holistic healthcare, education to provide services to approximately 1,000 rural women in Rakai, Uganda. It is a small area. Rakai, Uganda is also known for the epicenter of the HIV epidemic going back a couple of decades ago. Not only that, it is specifically for women to provide, build and sustain and empower a thriving rural community for many women and children in that area who lack the basic resources, skills, and education to have the best quality of life that a human can have now and for future generations to come. So if you want to jump aboard with that, please contribute. It is funnily.com/Katie-Kamara-Healing-Center with an R-E, not E-R. It's the English way of spelling. If you want to reach out to me, you can also reach out to me, Katie Kamara Healing Center. Remember, center with an R-E, not E-R. At gmail.com for any other inquiries. If you would like to contact me privately, you can also DM me on social media as well. Yeah.
I'm amazed how you remember all that. I would be blanking.
Hey, I do
Okay.
well.
So there were some things I did want to say which we haven't done, i.e. my shirt and aura. We did do a show on aura, but no, we'll leave it for now because it didn't work out that way. And we are free flowing and improving, so we never know exactly what we're going to do. But I would like to point out that if you feel like this, we could get into geometry, sound, and vibration in the next show. Would you like to do that one?
Yeah, we can do sacred geometry and we can go into
anything else we want to go with. Yeah.
Sound therapy then. There we go.
All right, so we'll end on that note. Anyone listening, come back to understand how your body is a geometrical being.
Exactly. And we will be back next Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Be there, be wise, be sharp. I don't know what the hell. Go love another.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.